Hey, what's up? It's different kind of video, I guess, than I've done. It's about watches, but this one is just a recent acquisition, a book that I picked up on, I believe, on Amazon. And yeah, I just was looking for something for a Christmas gift for myself because the original Christmas gift I got didn't work out, and so I decided to get a few books that I was interested in. And this was one of the ones I was just looking around and thought, I'm really into Seiko watches, especially their divers, and this one looked pretty promising. Um, Normally, this book, this is, by the way, Seiko Divers Watch, the birth of Seiko Professional Divers Watch. Maybe it should be Divers Watches because there is more than just the 62 Mas, but this is the one that started it for Seiko. And I go into this briefly because I don't think I can show too much content in here for, copyrights violation or something like that if I expose too much. But it's by, I believe, Sadaon Ryugi. Sorry if I butchered that name, but that's where it is. It's around. This book was not cheap. I think it was pretty close to 90 or 100 bucks or something. Yes. But there is quite a wealth of information in here. But for those interested in this, and they do not need an actual hard copy like this, I believe you can get a digital version for Kindle for around $9 or $10. Should be exact same thing as this, but in a digital format, so you can read it off your tablet or phone or anything that has a Kindle app, provided you subscribe to that kind of device or service. But yeah, for me, I like to actually have a physical book whenever possible because I feel like if it's in the camera, or it's on a camera, smartphone or tablet, or otherwise, it's not something that I'm not a big digital book reader, so I wouldn't find myself really getting into it that much. And I don't know, it's just something about having this, and this would be great for a library or a coffee book for people, fellow fans to just check out. And I'll just kind of briefly go over this. I mean, it talks about, I think, all like the major vintage Seiko dive watches from here to, oh, you'll see, I'll try to show what they have in here. And they don't have all the divers, and it goes up to a certain point. I think the publication on this was up to, well, this one shows January 2023. That's like a couple of days ago. I wonder, how's that even possible? Because right now it's only January 6th, 2023. Unless they just printed this up specifically. And no, they can't, right? I don't know. I know some books you can get, they do print them on a purchase basis. As soon as you buy one, they'll actually print something out. Which is another book I got, which is from the Watchistry, which is on the Marine Nationale, like watches, mainly Tudor, but they have some other watches that the Marine Nationale, but we'll get into that later. But this, I believe it should have been published around 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so we'll just get into this real quick, briefly. So there is a lot of information in here, and it goes through everything pretty much you can think of about the Seiko dive watches, from all like the different branding, the manufacturers, all the technical specifications, some of the ad campaigns, all like the subtle differences in the various models and the years that they were released, and stuff like that. How they tested some of these watches, the expeditions that they've gone through for different models, case back designs, all the significance of, even the different rotor designs, movements, what kind of functionality, all the specs on that, all the movements that they ever used. Again, case backs, part numbers, different colors that they used, the loom formulas, I think maybe even the actual materials that were used, all the parts. So that was that. I'm just going to kind of briefly go through it, and like you can see, get into the what would be the predecessor of the Marine Master 300, and yeah, just different things about these the micro adjusters. I guess the very different way they were configured and designed. Yeah, packaging, different straps that they have, the Seiko's first dive strap, the Zio M01, and they just talk about all the details about that, and which watch had what. I think I just got this today, and so I haven't gone through the whole thing. I'm just kind of showing you this bit of a book here. I think I've seen them try to reissue something that looks like this, but then that's the thing. It's not a chronograph. It wasn't all that long ago. That's the thing about Seiko, though. They do some good reissues, but then at the same time, like the tributes or the anniversary pieces that they try to bring back, they don't really bring it back in its full form and authenticity. They kind of translate it into something else, and it's not quite the same, unfortunately. Not all, but quite a lot of the stuff they try to do like that doesn't, I don't know, it's okay. I think they should try to stay more true to the original source that they're trying to pay homage or celebrate an anniversary or tribute piece or something like that to. They should try to stick to that and not deviate and make it look like it, but just basically pretty much a completely different watch. All the diver variations, and of course the handsets. What else is there? Packaging, worn straps. The second Seiko, I guess this is what we call it as, I think they call this a candy bar or chocolate bar strap. That's the way it's cut up. If you ever seen like I'm thinking of Hershey chocolate bar. They kind of have these rectangular kind of shapes that are similar to that strap texture. Their first 300-meter dive watch. I guess it's basically the Marine Master, as we mostly know. Oh, they even talk about the recent 6105 8000, the slim turtle, although it's not really a turtle. It's kind of its own thing. The turtle kind of evolved from that. So it's not like the turtle was there and then they made a slimmer version of it. It's kind of, I believe it's the other way around. But yeah, you can see like, it's very much the same. Of course, they moved the date now down here, but I think it works better myself. But they just talk about that, and of course they'll get into what else is there? The Willard, of course, right? The Yumura Diver's Watch and Apocalypse Now, and they talk about that. Some of the the usage of this reference. And more strap, the third dive strap. I guess this is what we would call, at least I've been calling, I guess, the tire tread rubber strap. Uncle Seiko makes something like this. Came on one of the dive watches that I bought from him. It was like a Seiko SKX tuna mod. And I think you had your choice of straps from Uncle Seiko, and I chose this one. This is something I didn't have, and it's a pretty decent strap, actually. Uncle Seiko makes some good straps for sure. Different crown mechanisms. And then, of course, they go into the first 600-meter dive watch, which would be the Tuna, the very first Tuna. Although I think before they called it that, I think it was made, they had some other attempts at it, but the official one finally came out in 1975. Yeah, I guess that was the very first tuna. It's a 600 meter. Do they still call that the Emperor, Gold Emperor, or something like that? But anyways, yeah, just talk about the case designs again, how the seals of the gaskets were like, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information up in here. Another issues that need to be resolved. So I guess, all the challenges and stuff that they were dealing with to make the watch as good as they can make it. And then I mean, there is a ton of information here, and this is actually advertised as a Japanese book, like it's in Japanese, and you can see there is, but there's actually a decent amount of English in here as well. I think it's all basically translated. So you have both languages in here as far as I can tell. And I would actually have to translate the Japanese itself to make sure, but that's what I believe is essentially happening in this book. Although there are some parts of it which are questionable, like in this area, these don't look like they're exactly the same bits of information, so you may not necessarily get everything that's happening here. Consequently, the information here just doesn't seem to be the same. So, but I think there's enough information, especially in English, to read and get the gist, and still a lot of, actually not just the gist, quite a bit of detail about what they're talking about in this book. So, so yeah, if you see this and it says it's in Japanese, I wouldn't worry too much about it. As you see some other people who bought it and I don't know if reviewed or left a comment about this. It's a great resource, and again, there's plenty of English in here to just, if your English is your native language, like it is mine, and not Japanese, then you at least you do have an opportunity to read and learn and enhance your knowledge on Seiko, the history of Seiko die watches, and so much detail that went into it. So yeah, it's a pricey book, but I think for everything that you get, and especially you're into, maybe if you're just into watches, but especially if you're into Seiko and divers, like I am, that's probably my number one area with Seiko that I've gravitated around. But they do dress in casual watches pretty well, and of course they actually do have a pretty decent chronograph history as well. Although these days, I mean, I don't know about, I'm not into mecha quartz, but although they do make some decent offerings, but their mechanical ones, they're quite expensive, and there's only very few examples. I think the vintage Seiko chronographs are more interesting, which they should really do a more true reissue and bring it up to now, instead of what they've been doing is saying it's an anniversary piece, but you can see some elements, but it's not quite close enough to the original to really be I would say 100% on board with what they're trying to make an anniversary watch of. But that's another thing. But anyways, I would highly recommend picking up a book like this. Just as reference, and as a fan of the brand and their dive watches, or maybe just in dive watches in general, it's a pretty good piece of reading and material. If not just to look at and just kind of have that kind of visual satisfaction from doing that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I guess I will share more watches later. Thanks again. Bye.